Hey bantwana bahle, bantwana benkosi, bantwana bomgquba, bantwana benzaka, ninjani niyaphila? Ninjani niyaphila? Ingca inde madoda. Ingca inde. Kunqabelana nje. Kunqabelana. We hope you guys are doing well. Today I'm going to talk about some material elements of our culture. I'm going to talk about some material elements of our culture and how it has become a commercial matter. Yay! Castle Milk Stout is making money out of our culture, people. Castle Milk Stout is making money out of our culture. And something has to be done about it. Something has to be done. Castle Milk Stout cannot continue making money off of our culture. It's a bloody multinational company from Belgium, AB InBev, that acquired SAB. It's a Belgian-Brazilian company that keeps profiting off of our culture. But it's not just Castle Milk Stout. You've got many of these companies. There's Leonard Dingler, Taxi, the one that makes this cancer-causing poison. This cancer-causing poison, they call it snuff. It's made by Leonard Dingler. You have our people who will tell you that this connects them to their ancestors. I don't know how that comes about. I'm not going to lie to you. If you need a European manufactured product to connect to your ancestors, maybe you need to relook at that whole reasoning altogether. Something is not adding up with your ancestors somewhere. And that is the thing about beliefs that develop out of dispossessed people. It's not genuine beliefs. These things are just a response, a lot of them. If you need a cancer-causing substance that is made by a Dutch colonizer company to connect to your ancestors, you even take this poison, you pour it down and say, it's for my forefathers. Something is not right with you. We cannot continue, guys, doing this nonsense as if it makes sense. These things don't make sense. These people who make these things don't even use these things, a lot of them. We are the ones who must be consumers of these things. You know the company that owns this, it's Tiger Brands. Alan Gray, basically. Alan Gray owns this. They make this brand, King Kong. It's owned and controlled by Alan Gray. But who uses this? Which white person do you know? Who in Alan Gray's family would go and buy this product? Who in Alan Gray's family would go and buy this product? No, we use it. Communicate with our ancestors. Kilibogile, what's your point? My point is that I'm about to block you right now because you're dumb. So you cannot have a culture that has been commercialized, and after hundreds of years of your culture having been commercialized, you still see no effort from the people who claim that this culture is theirs, no effort to own that culture, no effort to own the materials of substance of the culture, no effort to own the food items of the culture, no effort to own the processes, the manufacturing processes of, the means of officiating the culture itself. Same thing with, we'll go through all of them. Same thing with these, because I grow up seeing these. This is a tobacco. So when there's a traditional ceremony, this is the kind of tobacco you'll find, Boxer, and this kind of tobacco, BB, But these things have to be bought from a European-owned company. They have to be bought from a European-owned company. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, you guys tell me if it makes sense to you that the stuff that are used to communicate, as people claim, to the ancestors who were oppressed by Europeans, just like you are, have to be bought from Europeans. Tell me if it makes sense, man. Just tell me if it makes sense. Is it a practice that needs to be continued? Doesn't make sense to me. We grow up using these things, you know. Icuba. We call this icuba, Tina. And we call this inqaw. But when I was young, we planted this thing. Ikhameti. Icuba lesintu. Icuba lesixhosa. We called it that. Ikhameti. I know even the process of making this thing. But I have not seen not even one native saying, I sell dried tobacco, dried traditional tobacco. And that's the point I'm getting to. If we're not going to do that, I promise you, you guys, our people are always going to be slaves. If you need a brand to sell you boxer so that you can use in your traditional ceremonies and give to your ancestors, but if you look here, it's not your ancestor who's written here. It's Pit Retief, Baba. What does Pit Retief have anything to do with your ancestors? Look, boxer, a brand, Pit Retief. Mara, when are you doing it for? It's for my ancestors, this one. You know, my forefathers, I must give them the tobacco. Why are you not in control of the manufacturing process of native tobacco? Why is it in the hands of the people who came and stripped you away from the same culture you're trying to revive? Misinformed, by the way. It doesn't make sense, man. I like the black capitalist says, come to think of it, it doesn't make sense at all. No, it doesn't. And I'm glad that you are here and you're a capitalist because you're the one who should be owning this manufacturing process. But no, you know what the colonizers did when they got here? They came in, they saw all these guys, they like tobacco. Traditionally, we like tobacco. Okay, let's just take the process and own it. Let's just own the manufacturing process. And that's what they did. Same thing with umqomboti, inqodi, amarhewu, ipombe, iqhilika. I can promise you right now, any company that exists that makes umqomboti or sells the means of making umqomboti, any company that exists that sells amarhewu, any company that exists that sells iqhilika, which is mead, none of those companies are owned by any native person, not even one. Okay, leave the companies alone. Not even one individual native person who actually makes these things is online and promoting them. All I'm saying is that you can take claim of the culture, but the proceeds that come out of your cultural activities, the money that comes out of your culture goes to Castle Milk Stout and Black Label. We can be proud of all the migidis that happen in December. Oh, umgidi. But the money, majority of the money that comes from that umgidi, that process from that umgidi is not going to the hands of the very people who invented the idea of umgidi. Let's play a song. We come back to the topic. I was just introducing the subject. Let's play a song. Because I don't wanna, lose the subject. Hey, hello, my people. It's been a while, yo. It's been a while. Hey, black capitalist. What do you mean you don't have language? How long have you been in this space? My very basis of my work is language, mas. Suka ndihambe kujambasa ke lona ngumfene ngulisa ngocansi ngusanzaza ngohla ngomvelweni ngusiduli ungube mhlophe ndikumabona bulawe njengomthakathi uphala kuhle lendlela iyehlela usanzanza ke lo wanzonza kwavela umuntu unhlaba mkhosi uluncu umwandla umandu wafikela uhlangeni zalwa intombi yasemanzuthu ninyile zomaphango nqalo nqangeni nxa sinoxoxa oxham owele liyobe phambili impuza seva mtyana ethunga intombi yasemanzothuni oyini bafazi bensikisi letsholo nayiphazami nithabatha isidoda ngoba lehlatywe lisifazi tsimankulu kayuthi untaba kahili usiqasomile somile zona zintshaba sihlobo sikagcaleka sihlobo sikakhawuta awu madoda mzukulwane emampehleni kocabatsho nkomo zibomvu into zakulo mbiki wakuloyibeka wakulokani ngolubisi ke abo mzukulwana ke manhlaneni konhlanga konqabane koziqeleka sihlamba ngobenda amaze khona bese sikuzuku kofako kothahla kandayeni fako oyifakayo oyikhuphayo sawubhidana the black capitalist, I hear you, my brother. You're complaining about language and all that. You see, I just want to show you something. So I'm doing a massive project That's gonna take a good generation, 25 to 40 years. I'm doing a massive project. So in this project, thank you, Blue Moon. Thank you. Please, guys, keep the gifts coming. I'm just gonna give you a sneak peek. I have a project that I'm busy with. Ne? In this project, I've got paying members who pay monthly. It's called Project Ingasi. That's where I go into the depths of language. I go into the depths, and we are on month 3 now. It's got about 15 people. We are on month 3 of the project. But just maybe to give you a bit of a sneak peek of what I will do in the project on a normal day. Maybe for like 10 minutes, I will explain how we enunciate words in our indigenous languages. Maybe I will start with the strat vowel and explain maybe different examples where we use the strat vowel in Chivenda and in isiXhosa when they praise kings. And then I'll go into the schwa sound, which is the mid-central vowel. And then I will go into the normal vowels. We use the open front unrounded vowel, the open mid front unrounded vowel, the close, etc., etc. And that's not even like 1% of the stuff I do, but that's the level of depth I decided to go into. If I'm gonna be teaching my people language, instead of just talking about random words on TikTok, perhaps it makes sense to just go a bit deeper. Maybe and another example is to look at maybe the phonetics of our languages. You see, for example, in Chivenda and related languages, they have a theta sound, which you find in the word in English words like thought and though. So in Chivenda, you will find them say the koribuwa ngamanda, but it's not manda, it's manda. But you're not gonna know these things because they're not gonna teach you at school. It's not like they're not there; they're there. The language is fat and healthy and capable. It's a thousands years old language. If you want to talk branding, want to talk about corporate lingo within our language, there is corporate lingo. There is scientific language within our language. There is professional academic language within our language. But you're not gonna know that. You're gonna find it on TikTok as well. I've had to spend more than 10 years doing in-depth, work. In-depth work. For example, let me give you an example. When I was talking about the post-alveolar fricatives, shh, and then I was writing the word shabalala in the phonetic sense. This is how you would write it, and then the word shushu is how you write it. But then there's another now voiced version of the same sound, which is called the voiced alveolar fricative or the voiced post-alveolar fricative. You would write it like this: vision. But for our people to be able to see this, there needs to be time and investment towards it. So the language is there and the language can be developed. I mean, there's vowels in languages in the Tswa and Ronga group, whistled vowels. Like they would say, utashikuma leshuslabak, utashikuma. Or if you go to Zimbabwe, you'll find places like Masringo, and surnames like Srangirai, Yabo, the one that we used to call Changarai. But if you look at the phonetic pronunciation of the name, it's actually, this is how the name should be pronounced. This is how the name should have been pronounced in the first place. When we pronounce it like this, we're just approximating. But so this is the kind of stuff I deal with for the guys who are enrolled in my class. And they do actually get to learn the different ways that we can notate words. For example, I did a little session on words with double L, which is sha. It's the voiceless alveolar lateral fricative. So you find words like this, hlantidno and hlwelin and hlanehli. So yeah. Anyway, just today I was looking at because I always gather notes, ne? Just today, and I'm only sharing this just to draw your interest. Just today I was looking at ways to absolutely transform other aspects of our life. So for example, here I was looking at like everyday words that I think need to be translated properly now, like a collar of a shirt. Most people just call it a collar, but we have a word for it. It's called umbhenqo. And then a bed, people will call it a bed, but it's ukambalala or iqonga or mandlalo, depending on your level of depth in the language. And then you've got like a petticoat, umtidilili. Generic name for a skirt is khak. A long red jacket or gown is called ujejan. A long dark gown is called ujobel. A wedding dress is called umtika. Ugaga is a certificate, in our language. A certificate is ugaga because ugaga is a dried skin originally. And therefore, certificate is deducted from that. A garden is umyezo, if it's a fruit garden or a kitchen garden, an orchard. But if it's a farm, it's called intsimi. Spectacles, umkhanya. I remember growing up, my sisters, when they are watching you closely, they will say, "Dikwakhela umkhanya mntanam," which means I'm putting you under the magnifying glass. So these are the words you would want to use for things like spectacles, umkhanya, and then for things like belt, ibhinqawa, an overcoat or a coat, you would want to use umgajulo. For sunglasses, you want to use izikhusi, from the word ukukhusa, which means to cover. For socks, you want to use insekelezana. For window, you want to use inkongo or umkhusane ndonga, which means a protector that's on the wall, or ikhusi, but I think inkongo makes more sense. For a basement in a house, you'd want to use words like umgodi. And then like a secret room in a house, kusese, a boardroom, liqamthwa, walls, insithe, isibaya or indonga. Bedroom, isilili, kitchen, iziko, sitting room, book, incwadi, paper, ucwecwe, mirror, incwadi yozibuka. Incwadi yokuzibuka is a mirror. A comb, incaza, a table, licwecwe, or isixaxabesha, or isixwexwe, or isitywetywe. A table for food, specifically, sisithebe. A small table, lucwecwana, ucwecwana. A round table, sanqa. A cloth, tablecloth, iqhiya. Ice cubes, amagaqa omkhenkce. Thin ice, uqweqwe lengqele. Edge of a table, umphelo. And these are literally, it's not even scratching the surface, but these are literally the basics of how you actually revive a language. You don't revive a language by teaching things from 500 years ago. You revive a language by teaching relevant subjects to today. Today we talk about artificial intelligence. We talk about social media. There are words, not that there must be, there already are words for those things. So you want to put them out there that people know that social media is a word, like things like finance, economy. We already have words for those things, you see. Like an economy, uqoqosho. Then within economy itself, you have things like trade, ukurhweba, and then I was just doing something about forex trading specifically. I was doing the anatomy of candlesticks. So forex trading itself is foreign exchange trading. Urhwebo-mali lwasemzini. That is to say, the selling and buying of foreign currencies. Intengo nentengiso yemali zasemzini. That's what forex is. When we look at the anatomy, if you look at a graph, maybe a trend graph of a forex exchange, you will see things like this. These are called candlesticks. Now, ngokwesintu, we have names for candlesticks. They are called iziphatho, literally. Now, in the candlesticks, you've got regions. You've got like a higher shadow. You've got a high. You have close, open, low, and lower shadow, which are words we already have. Like there's no need to invent new words. Science is a word we already have. Accounting is a word we already have. Sociology, we already have these things. You need to understand these things come from Greek and Latin, and it's not like things that came out of nowhere. Look at the name for economy, for example. It comes from Greek. Oikos means a house. Nemein means to manage. So oikonomia is to manage a household. That's what it means. Economy means the management of the household in the sense of managing resources. So now what you don't want direct translation for everything. You want the most approximate equivalent in your own language and culture. In my language, the economy, uqoqosho. That's what it is. Because uqoqosho, in its sense, has to do with saving and sparing things for the future. So when a woman and it's interesting because it's women who are in charge of uqoqosho in our culture. It's women who are in charge of uqoqosho. So it's women who would be ministers of finance in our indigenous systems. So I was just really going down this path just to maybe extrapolate on what I mean when I say the wording is there, the language is there, and it's very old and it's very rich. It needs now invested individuals who are willing to say, okay, look, we live in an economy, there's politics, there's sociology, there's orientation, there's this, there's that. What are these words in our languages, and how do we then academize these words? Because they're already there. Like even in linguistics, in linguistics, I was talking just now about different vowels and sounds. We have names for even vowels. Vowels are not like these things that we don't know in our language. This Kamiso is. This Kamiso, vowels. Consonants, amakabani. And then the different types of consonants. You've got ejectives. You've got fricatives. Ejectives is dubuli. Fricatives is hwek. So you could literally transform the entire education system into indigenous languages. These are not European concepts. We already have them. Amaku. Someone was asking for a link. No, there's no link. This is my personal notes. This is my preparation for my sessions. So these are programs that I'm running under Sandile Tugan University. So these are not like public records. These are stuff that I've created myself. You see here, I do deciphering of clan names, Amangoche, and all the different clan names. Amagcina. So these are not public records. It's mine. I made this up. But yeah, I was just taking you guys through the project. This is the project. It's 3 months in now. So yeah. Anyway, back to the subject of today. What you see here on the screen is something called Ikaga. Ikaga is basically a snuff container, an indigenous snuff container. So snuff, we always had snuff. We always had tobacco. We always had alcohol. I'm not going to lie here and say we don't have those things. They came with Europeans. We had, because alcohol is natural. It's a result of a natural chemical reaction. That's what alcohol is. It's been there for a long time. So this is Ikaga. Inside Ikaga, you have Iguada or Ugwai. Now, the Dutch arrive, the English arrive, they see, oh, these guys like Ugwai, they like Ikaga. Let's just make it for them. You have Leonard Dingler. He makes, under taxi, he makes what is called Ugwai. Super snuff. It's no longer just Iguada now, it's super snuff, right? So you stop using the one that your ancestors created. Look at how creative it was. Look at how much effort went into making this, into beautifying this. And look at how indigenous, aligned it looks. There's white beads, there's blue beads. Just makes sense, If you're someone who's really into Ugwai, you might as well use the one your ancestors made then. But no, you want to come and use this one, which will cause you cancer, by the way. It's literally written here. It's a carcinogenic substance. But people get offended when you talk about these things. It's fine. Go get your cancer. It's all right. But the truth is there. It's there. They're telling you. Now, the commercialization of indigenous culture is never something that we need to hide or walk around shells on. Just because you connect Ugwai, taxi, snuff with ancestors, it's nothing to do with me. It's you who connects this product from Europe with your ancestors. Whereas this is what your ancestors made. When you want to substitute that for this, so that's your problem. It's not mine. So don't get offended when I'm just telling the truth, because that's the truth, all right? Now, the commercialization of our culture is not just a South African thing. It's an international phenomenon. I've seen just in the past maybe 20 years how Castle Milk Stout has optimized on indigenous South African cultures. Castle Milk Stout has optimized and maximized on indigenous South Africa, even inviting princes, royals, a whole royal going to a platform that is sponsored by an alcoholic beverage. Let's see. I think I tried to look for these things somewhere here. Let's play this. I'm sure we all know what this is.
King wanted his daughter to marry a man as wise as he.
This is a Castle Milk Stout advert. This is meant to mimic a royal court in Kundla. Yasebukhosini. Now, I'm yet to see any alcoholic beverage company using English royal culture in this kind of setting. I'm yet to see them using, Dutch royal culture in this kind of setting. So I'm yet to see, because the English, they literally do, they literally do have a royal family. They have a king, an active king. The Dutch have a king. There's kings all over Europe, but you never see them featured in any adverts, let alone alcoholic beverages. So the alignment of alcoholism and alcohol consumption, amongst others, with African culture and values is so disingenuous. It's absolutely inauthentic and it should not be promoted. But our people get so offended because they love the alcohol. It's fine, because then that means it works. What these guys are doing works. That's why every December then we're going to have, after all, computers crash, blah, 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 blah. We're going to have Noma Helele and all these things every December, because you think alcohol is your culture when alcohol is not your culture. All the things that are constructive about our culture, nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about the science within our culture. Nobody wants to talk about the geology aspect of our culture. Nobody wants to talk about water activities. We had deep divers in our culture. Nobody wants to go and learn marine biology, to learn about the species, animal species and plant species in the waters. That's our culture. Huh? You can challenge me, I'll prove it to you. We have marine biology, we've got philosophy. Those are the fields that we should be exploring in our culture. We are not under apartheid now. We are not under political apartheid. Well, one can argue that we still are. But you are free now to go and explore, marine biology. You are free to go and explore marine physics, to learn about the salinity of water and the temperature changes in water. You're free to go and learn about cyclones, so that no, my dear. No, you cannot tell me what to do. I'm gonna block you. Where do you think you are? Clearly, you don't understand how I operate. You clearly don't understand how I move. Yewan, you think I'm your little boy now? I don't play like that. Suka, mur.
Masiboneke ukuthi yiphi indoda emadodeni.
Indoda emadodeni. So now, not only do they link royal practices, they link manhood now, masculinity, to alcoholism.
Mina ngilisambala ngaphondo. Indodakazi yakho ngeke sifole na. Sizosebenzisa amandla ukuvikela indodakazi yakho. Wena bayete. Wena wendlovu.
By the way, bayete can only be used to an actual king. That's the thing. When you see the diluting of our culture, bayete can only be used to a king, to a royal. That is the context in which it should be used. Just like you cannot go around saying Your Majesty to any Tom and Dick out there. You can only say Your Majesty or Your Royal Highness or His Royal Highness to someone to whom that is appropriate. But no, bayete must be used in an alcoholic advertisement.
Umhlaba kuyosala lapha. Ngiyokunika okusenhlizweni ngoba kungunaphakade. To find the true measure of the man, you have to look inside. inside. Just like the rich, dark, smooth taste of castle milk stout. True greatness comes from within.
To find the riches of a man, you have to look deep inside, just like Castle Milk Stout. And I can go on and on with Milk Stout. I can go on and show you many other instances where they actually take advantage of the gullibleness of South Africans. How gullible South Africans are. And they take advantage of the culture. Just look at this. You see, they've started restricting my life.
The
This
king was looking for an
bloody
advisor and summoned
people.
3 hopeful chiefs.
Burenaka, abohle ba tsebe ka lerato la hao setjhabeng. Wena ya utlwisisang hore motho o hopolwa ka mesebetsi e molemo setjhabeng.
It is true. Just like the rich, dark, smooth taste of castle milk stout, true greatness comes from within.
Hey,
The
these
king was
people.
looking.
I'm just gonna say it in Gesintu, guys. Bayanya straight. That's it. Hey guys, I always put myself on the line when I do these lives, you know? Like, hey man, they've already restricted this one. That's why I just stop making videos altogether. It's just tiring. Anyway, those of you who wanna join my program, please guys, inbox me. We're continuing with the program. It's very deep. It is very deep. Yeah. So now the main thing I want to get into is the ownership of these processes, because you cannot decide whether people should drink or not, right? You cannot tell people to drink. You cannot tell people to not drink. You cannot tell people to smoke or not smoke. The reality is that people will always drink and people will always smoke, right? But now the thing is, if the drinking and the smoking has spiritual significance to you as a people, does it not make sense then that you should own that process? You should own that entire, sacred practice. Come on, guys, this is fair. This is a fair ask. I'm saying the same people who claim that umqombothi has spiritual significance to them, then those people must own the whole practice of umqombothi, including the very making of umqombothi. If you say Amachewu have significance to you, like they do to me, then why are we not owning? Because the last time I checked, this is not a black-owned business. It's not. It's not, guys. We don't own these things. Look, they are making Amachewu vanilla now. People no longer make Amachewu endlini. You just go and buy them online. And this is what happened, the commercialization of South African culture. It gets commercialized, it gets diluted, and it becomes a corporate project. It's a project. There's project managers behind your culture. There's project managers behind your culture. There's project managers behind the things you say you're communicating with ancestors with. There's someone who's behind this. There's someone who designed this, and they're measuring profits from it. Now, is there something wrong for you guys to have imitombo and use this and make umqombothi? Nothing wrong with that. Sikhuliswe ngomqombothi. We used to eat pap made out of this thing. It's very nice. And drink umqombothi and all of that. But the truth is that I was always asking myself, why do we have to go and buy this to make something that we claim is our culture? We've always practiced it. But now we have to go and buy it from someone. King Kong is owned by Tiger Foods. Tiger Foods is owned by Alan Gray, partly. So I have to go and buy from Alan Gray the thing that I claim is going to bring healing to me. which means Alan Gray owns my healing then. Alan Gray owns my healing. It's the exact same thing with beads and amahiya, these Sangoma clothes. You know, Sangomas don't make those clothes. They have to go and buy. Even worse, they buy from Pakistanis. Those things are made in Indonesia and China. Do you understand, guys, what's happening? Do you actually understand what the flip is happening? You are screwed from each and every hole that they can find. That's what's happening here. Every single hole that they can find, they are screwing us. And unfortunately, that's not going to change. It's going to get worse now because our people have become so lazy. Yeah. This thing, guys, it's sorghum. This is sorghum. This is sorghum. Imitombo. Since when is sorghum supposed to be owned by Alan Gray now? What does Alan Gray know about sorghum? And by the way, I'm not fighting with Alan Gray, the person. I'm fighting with the system here. This is sorghum. This is what we use to make umqobot. But you have to go buy it from Tiger Brands now. And you're telling me that the food that Tiger Brands sells you, you're going to use it to connect your ancestors. And you complain the ancestors are not answering. Oh no. How will they answer? You're buying from the same people who oppressed them. It's just generations of oppression, left, right, and center. Oh, the candles. I'm going to light the candles, guys. The candles are going to make the light shine bright. Who owns the candles? Newton. Newton owns the candles. Who's Newton? It's definitely not an indigenous person. No, you must have red candle, pink candle, what. But you need to get it from Newton. Newton must sell you the candles for you to practice what you call your spirituality. So your spirituality is owned by someone. Your clothing, which you claim has spiritual significance to you, is owned by someone. Do you get what I'm saying, guys? That you cannot disconnect spirituality from politics, from economics. All these things are literally one. It's an economy. It's politics. I like to say, you have to go to the original idea that these things were trying to translate. I was explaining now that economy comes from the word oikos nemein, oikonomios. It literally means household management. Politics literally means the matters of the city come from the word polis, which means a city. Hence, a big municipality, we call it a metropolis, which means mother city. Metro, mother, polis, city. So politics means city. Isixeko. Economics means household management. So these are issues that affect you. So economics and politics are literally connected to the spiritual system and the social system and the culture and the everything is all connected. So you can't say, oh no, guys, let's not mix politics. These are spiritual symbols. No, these spiritual symbols are literally owned by the same people who oppressed you. I'm a candle that you burn. You don't even, if I ask you, what did we burn before Europeans arrived? Do you know? Do you know? Do you understand that you are living in a state of complete and utter delusion? With no idea what you're doing in this world. We are land. What did people burn before Abelung Bafik? Why do you have to go to the shop to buy umlilo? Does that make sense, guys? You have to go to the shop to buy umlilo. Jani. Yo, look at this. And many people would never survive without this. They even create cultures now. They even create cultures with the letters of this thing. Yeah. You know, our ancestors used to have flints. Steel sheets for fire, called ikwilika. They used to have steel sheets for fire. I want to show you what ikwilika looks like. I forgot now what the name of this thing is. Just give me a second. Let me just clear this thing. Let me just clear this thing. I was doing research about certain things here. Sorry, guys. I just need to remember because I want to show you what people made fire with. Yeah, born. But they use iron sheets that you just scratch to start a fire. They call it ikwilika. They call it ikwilika, and then they use the splinters of umtati. Umtati is a tree. You know, there's a saying, umtati awuzala umlotha. It's the tree. It's called sneezewood tree. See this tree? It's our original candle. This tree here. You take this tree, you put wax on top of its head. You have something called isibane or isikhuni. If you ever hear people say isikhuni sibuya nomkhwezeli, it's a firebrand. That's our original light. And when you brandish the firelight, we call that ukuchangachangisa. Ukuchangachangisa. We used umtati as a firewood. We used it to light our houses before these candles from New Den. But now somehow the candles have more connection to your ancestors than a natural tree. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. There's something wrong here. If you think for you to communicate with your ancestors, you must buy from some company that has nothing to do with your ancestors instead of using a natural tree. I mean, if you really want to light a fire, that's going to connect you to your history. This is the fire that you want to light. This is the fire that you want to light, not some candle from some Pakistani shop. And that is the concern for me. Like, when your entire spiritual ecosystem is owned by foreign companies, I become scared now that maybe the very, very essence of this phenomenon is that spirituality itself was influenced and infiltrated with an economic ultimate reason. There's an ultimate economic benefit to certain groups of people connected to our spirituality altogether. So what people practice as Isithunzi or indigenous spirituality is actually a hybrid that literally supports capitalism, because you need this capitalism. You buy these, capitalism. Craven A, these are British brands. Peter Stuyvesant, capitalism. Candles, capitalism. Capitalism. New Den. Boxer, capitalism. It's literally written the Pidratif. Pidratif, capitalism. BB, capitalism. Yes. These are the different tobaccos that our people use. And it's hard now to penetrate that because it's very sensitive. When we talk about spirituality, it's a very sensitive affair. So even when you start talking about it, it's it's like you are attacking the people. So what you want to do, Nika, you want to look for intlaka. First and foremost, to make light, I would really, really, really promote the use of intlaka and umtati. You take pieces of umtati, you make sticks with that. You use the splinters of umtati as your light. You take intlaka maybe from any of the trees that have intlaka. You can have a quick look of that online, or I can send it to you privately. You take inhlaka, resin, indigenous resin. You use that. You dip the head of umtati sneezewood tree. You light a fire there. It becomes what we call a firebrand. Isikhuni esivuthayo, isibane, or ibane ngesintu. That you can use that as a traditional indigenous candle. I can promise you, if you had any hope that the candles that you buy from these European-owned businesses and Indian-owned businesses and Indonesian businesses, if you thought this will connect you to your ancestors, try umtati and see. And secondly, people will need to understand that ancestors are already literally why you exist. You've got 3 sets of DNA. You've got mitochondrial DNA from all your female ancestors. You've got Y DNA from all your male ancestors. And you've got autosomal DNA mixed between all your ancestors, maybe for the past 400, 500, 600 years. I'm not sure. So already, literally, on at a genetic level, you are because of your ancestors. You exist because of them. You don't need a candle from a Pakistani shop to understand that. It's a basic truth. It's a basic truth. Ungumthondo woyihlo noyihlo mkhulu. Within your mitochondria, within your cells, there's a mitochondrion. It contains DNA from all your female ancestors. People act as if, oh, your female ancestors don't matter. No, they're literally inside of you. There's mitochondrial DNA inside of you. So this thing from all it does, it benefits this shop. Why do you think the people who sell these things don't even believe in them? No, come on, guys. The people who sell these things, Pakistanis, they don't even believe in them. They've got their own religions. So all I'm saying is that if we are going to say our spirituality is centered around the usage of snuff, the usage of light candle firewood, the usage of burning herbs, then why then are we not owning those systems? Why are there no established systems? Come on, guys. You know, when it's Christmas, Europeans are having a good time. I get it, they're celebrating Saturnalia, which is an old Roman festival. It has nothing to do with Christ or anything like that. They have a system. No black person is going to go and sell Europeans Christmas stuff. They have their own systems where they sell each other Christmas things. Muslims, they have their own systems when it comes to Muslim things. Jews have their own systems that comes with Jewish things. In fact, you cannot, as a Jew, you cannot eat any food that is not prepared by a Jewish establishment, by Jewish rules. Jews only eat kosher foods. And I'm saying practicing Jews, they only eat kosher food. So it guarantees that the Jewish culinary system, Jewish cuisines are only at the mercy of Jewish people. And only that. No Jew is going to come and eat food made by your rules here. They're not going to eat your mngusho. Jews are not going to eat your mlekwa. They're going to eat only kosher foods. Muslims eat halal foods. What do you eat? Everything. You eat everything. Oh no, let's try out, guys. Oh, let's try this out. You don't say Jews trying out umleko, incum, ugeme, imibengo, izibindi nemihlehlo, ubende, amanqweme. They're not doing it. Why? Because they've got systems that guarantee that they have full control of their systems. So what I'm saying is spirituality is not this standalone thing that has nothing to do with politics, that has nothing to do with economics. Spirituality is politics and economics. And politics and economics are connected to spirituality. It's industrial. If you think spirituality is this Disney World kind of fantasy of perfection, oh, it's a nice, peaceful thing, you are delusional. Because then why was spirituality used all around the world to control and murder and commit ethnocides and genocides? Because it's an economic system, it's an industrial system. All I'm saying is that you cannot claim that, oh, we're practicing our culture. But for you to practice your culture, someone else must allow you that you practice your culture. If they say these candles are not available tomorrow, if tomorrow the people who sell these candles can say they are not available, so you're not going to be able to burn candles now to pray or to whatever you do, ya phahla, ya nqula. Do you understand how it's so fragmented, the idea of spirituality today? The fact that you have to actually have a name for your way of life and call it indigenous African spirituality, that alone is ridiculous. It's pathetic, to say the least. Our people are practicing pathetic beliefs that are just an economic byproduct of Western imperialism. You practice your so-called spirituality at the mercy of economic oppression. So what I'm saying is, these candles are not yours. They have nothing to do with you. They belong to New Den, the company that made them and sells them. Imithombo le of umqombothi, this is not yours. This belongs to Tiger Foods. And I know you're like, oh no, I grew up using this. Yes. But who said you must be loyal to it now? They take your product, they go and commercialize it, they add some GMO stuff so that they can kill you later on. You drink, and then men start raping children. Men go around raping children, doing weird things that were never done in our culture before. This is not yours. It's not yours. That's why Castle Milk Stout is profiting off of your culture. They are busy putting big monies. You know, they've got a clearly and effective, a very clearly effective marketing department there at Castle Milk Stout. Mihlal Ingwane. So what is ours? No, this is not yours, Mihlal. This one belongs to Tiger Brands. You can even go to Tiger Brands and try to take it and see if you're not gonna go in jail. This product definitely is not ours. The question now, what is ours? I'm also asking. Because people say, oh no, we use this to connect to our forefathers. But how do you depend on Alan Gray, which owns Tiger Brands? How do you depend on them for you to be able to practice what you say connects you to your forefathers? Well, then if they don't sell you this, if all the companies that manufacture this product, which our people claim to be dependent on, if they all decide they're not going to sell it to us anymore, how are these people going to practice their cultures? What kind of a culture depends on some foreign companies? Kunjalo Ncika. Amasimo asekho, imihlaba ihleli nje. Tenza. Listen, I'm saying to you, Tenza, if King Kong tomorrow they wake up and say no one is allowed to buy this thing, so all your mcimbis they will have to stop. Yonke imicimbi emakhaya will have to stop. You can't do anything until King Kong allows you to buy. How is that a reality in 2025 for abantu abantsundu to say these are our beliefs, these are the way of our forefathers, but for us to do this we need a company that is owned by Europeans to allow us to buy this? Do you understand what I'm saying? That it does not make sense. So Tina, right now we are sick. Sizizigulane. We have to accept that first and foremost. Siyimilwelwe, we are sick. And after we accept that we are sick people, then we'll be able to begin the healing process. There's a brother who just joined here. Unsele. That brother does a very good job. Thank you, Observer. Thank you so much. You are very much noted. There's a brother Unsele who just joined the live. And I'm glad that Unsele joined because Unsele is aligned with exactly the topic I'm talking about. That you cannot depend on an outside force on something that you claim is yours, something that is supposed to heal you, something that is supposed to unite you, your society. Imiqombothi, amahewu, inqodi, amaphombe, iqhilika, and all different beverages. Marula beverages. You know, Amarula, you think it's owned by people from Pumalanga and Lipopo and KZN. Amarula. Who owns Amarula? So they come and they see your system, they own the entire ecosystem where now you have to go to the shop to buy this to make umkombot, to heal yourself. What I'm saying is, if your healing somehow is connected to this, how come you don't own the means to produce this, the means to distribute this? How come you don't own the value chain that leads to this end product? How is it that someone else owns this? Which means you practice your culture at the mercy of this company. Your culture is literally a contributing factor to this company's profits. Your culture is their profit. Your culture is their profit. Your culture is their profit. What happened to this type of snuff? Igwada, ugwayi, the traditional one. This is iqhaga, the box. It's made with care, with beautiful shape, beautiful patterns, with beautiful, beautifications on the outside. I like this. I can carry this around. I don't even use snuff. I used it growing up to sneeze, for headaches and all that. But now, we don't own the whole ecosystem of producing these things. So what I'm saying is that we cannot then claim that it's a culture. We don't have a culture. We are just byproducts of imperialism. What we are practicing is a hybrid. We are practicing a hybrid of culture. We're not practicing an actual culture, team. It's only a hybrid. So what do we do? Bayabuza abantu. Well, I'm doing my part by telling you. I'm doing my part by telling you that there is a way. You can go back. You must create this. You must go and take ikhameti. Icuba lesintu. Go and take ikhameti, plant it. Make ikhameti, dry it. Yaneke elangeni. Vundisa icuba lesintu. After you vundisile, it will dry. And then piece it into pieces. Make it look exactly like this. You must manufacture your own. You must manufacture your own. You don't need boxer. You can make this from ikhameti. My mother used to do it when I was young. My mother never went and bought this thing. She made traditional tobacco. I saw it. I even know how the plant looks. I know the smell. Not only traditional tobacco, but also the pipe itself. They didn't go and buy this pipe from some company. They made this pipe by themselves. That's what I'm saying. I even know the different parts of Ingawa. This is called Ichimeya. And then when you put a little pipe there, it's called Ingape. And then the black thing that develops inside, the black sticky material, is called Inchongo. They would put it in your anus. If you're not sleeping nice at night, you're having bad dreams. Hey, elders, they'll put that thing on your palms. That black thing that develops, they take it, use it as a lipstick. That is a true indigenous economy. That is a true indigenous economy. And that's what I'm saying, that there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity to take our economy back. That's what I'm saying. That is literally what I'm suggesting. What is the solution? To take back the ownership. Ownership of what? Of the entire value chain. From the planting of the herb to the selling of the final product. For this to get here, you have to plant ituba, ikhameti. You have to irrigate it, amanzi. Which means you must own the pipes for the irrigation. You must know how to channel the waters. And then after the irrigation is done, you harvest the tobacco, uvunituba, you go and dry it in the sun. Or you create some kind of house, glass house or whatever. But you'd industrialize the process. But you industrializing the process, not only thinking about profit, but also understanding the cultural context, the nuanced cultural context. That is why Muslims will not allow someone who's not Muslim to decide what is halal or not. That's why Muslims will eat halal. It's not easy. That's why people go to war for culture. Why do you think Afrikaners are fighting for their Afrikaans? They know once they lose it, it's not going to be easy. It will never be easy. It was never easy for our own ancestors. They had to fight for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Somehow our generation are deluded, absolutely deluded. They think things should be easy. No, it's not easy. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's something that's doable. And you start now, maybe your child will be the one to make it into a national industry, a big business. So you start, and this is just for one person who wants to get into the tobacco. Another person, you want to go into candle making. Go and make candles for us. Take sneeze wood, Take sneeze wood, take natural resin. Natural resin. What is this? Intlak. Make firebrands for us. Or even make light bulbs. It doesn't matter, man. The problem is not the candle itself. It's the system behind the candle. Candle is not a problem. It's nice. Candle is just, it's wax. That's all there is to candle. But the process behind it, the fact that you have to go and buy it from someone to use it to on something that you claim has spiritual significance to you, that's a problem now. Because that means you are not a participator. You don't have a contribution in that economy except only consumerism. You don't have a place in that economy. You don't have a place. You are just a consumer, and that must come to an end. That must come to an end. You see, there was a culture called Isithunzi, which forms part of something called visible consumerism. Visible consumerism is when communities that have been previously franchised, communities that have been previously denied opportunities, have been seen as the lowest form, bottom of the barrel. When those communities now experience some level of comfort, some taste, some level of access in this bigger machinery called capitalism, a phenomenon called visible consumerism and compensatory consumerism, those phenomena start to emerge. Thank you, observer. Phenomena like conspicuous spending, visible consumerism, and compensatory consumerism. 3, they start to emerge. Like someone is the first professional in their family, but already they want to buy a BMW. This person is the first professional in their family. They want to go and rent a 15,000 rand apartment. They're the first professional in their family. They want to go out to some expensive restaurant every month. That speaks to the emptiness that exists within our people. Jewish people don't do that. Muslim people don't do that. They wear their gowns every day. They don't even care about clothing like that. They do silent consumerism. They don't need to be seen. They don't need to be perceived as having money because they have control over their own fate. They have their own Islamic finance. Muslims have Islamic finance that is based on Sharia law. They've got Muslim schools, Islamic schools. They've got halal food, a board, a regulatory body that decides what is the standard of food for Muslims. Jews have the same thing. You've got Jewish schools. You've got the kosher food regulatory systems that decides what is good food for Jewish people. In fact, it's not only food. It guides their sanitation. It guides their dress code. It guides their marriage practices. It guides their financial practices. That means they've been able to package their culture and transport it over time. Culture cannot cannot stay in that one archaic form. It has to be packaged. Every generation needs to be able to have access to the culture, package it, and make it usable for their modern time. Thank you, observer. Thank you. So you go into Islam. Oh no, I believe in Islam. Islam is good. But you are bound to follow the culture of the originators of Islam, whether you like it or not, because they created that system for that exact same purpose. You will learn their language by force. You will learn their cuisines by force. You will learn their values and philosophies by force. Same thing if you go to Judaism. You will learn their language by force. You learn their cuisines by force. You learn their everything, philosophies and values. Same thing if you go into Christianity. You learn their language by force. You will take their names. You will take their cuisines. You will take their view of the world. Who takes yours though? Who decides what your food is? Who regulates umngqusho? Who regulates umqa? Who regulates uphuthu? Who regulates muhobe? Who regulates maheu? Who regulates umqombothi? Who decides what are the ingredients? What are the portions? Who standardizes these processes? Who industrializes? Who scales these processes? Who distributes? Who owns the distribution system? Who controls the value chain? I know the answer, not you. So when everybody else controls their own fate, somehow yours is at the mercy of China. Your sangomas are wearing amahiya that are made in Indonesia and Vietnam. Sangoma sako, mamangoma, amangoma. It's literally printed fabrics from Indonesia. They printed a star, a shape of a star, and a shape of the sun. And you think it has some significance to you. It doesn't. What you need is to have control over your own economy, over your own politics, over your own spirituality. You have control over what you wear. You must have control over what your children wear, over what your children see on TV, over what your children listen to. Your actors go acting on movies and they die poor. Your musicians go around the world and they die poor. Your politicians who try to make change, they die even before they can have a chance to do that. Those who stay become the proxies of the same people who are in charge. So what is the way forward? You start right now. That is the way forward. That is the solution. The solution is to start now. You cannot wait for someone else to do it. If you know that where you are, there's good land, plant one tree of avocados. I promise you, plant one tree of avocados. Send me an inbox that we have 10 avocados, Baba. You said you're going to buy. I will buy them without even questioning. Plant some mushrooms and see if I won't buy them. Take milk. Make cheese from milk. Make cheese from milk. You know what cheese is, most? It's only a mass. You take that milk, you make it into a mass, and then you take that mass, you make it into cheese. See if I will not buy from you. But no. Woolies, Baba. Woolies. I must buy from Woolies. KFC. You are literally unaliving yourself. Because those things exist purely for profit. That's the definition of those companies. They exist for profit. So your culture cannot exist at the mercy of organizations that exist for profit. You know, when I went and studied finance at university, the very first few weeks they told us, look, we are training you people to be financial managers here. You have only one duty: to maximize the shareholder's value, the shareholder's wealth. Your job is to maximize the shareholder's wealth. When you go into a company, you're there to maximize the shareholder's wealth. How? By maximizing the share price. The share price is an indicator of how wealthy the shareholders are. So when you see shares going up, just know the shareholders are becoming richer and everyone is happy. All the owners are happy. So that is the very basic definition, textbook definition of why companies exist. They exist to make profit. Why do employees exist? To maximize the wealth of the shareholder. Not to make you connect to your ancestors. You think they wrote Pete Retief here so that you could connect better with your ancestors. Come on, guys, man. You think the people of Boxer wrote Pete Retief so that you could connect with abantu bakwa Nxele, abantu bakwa Sibiya. You connect with Bakwen. Don't be naive now. This is profit. This is a product. It's marketed. It's packaged. It's sold. You are a guaranteed profit for them. As long as you believe that this is gonna connect you to your forefathers. This thing that's gonna cause you cancer. That's mixed up with dangerous chemicals. You think it's gonna connect you? Your forefathers are already connected to you, man. You think that mitochondrial DNA inside of you is a joke? You think that Y DNA is there for decoration? You think the autosomal DNA inside of you is for connection? Your ancestors are they are literally inside of you. They cannot be disconnected from you, whether you believe it or not. It's genetics. 101, go learn. Learn about mitochondrial deoxyribonucleic acid. Learn about Y DNA. Learn about autosomal DNA. You've got hundreds of thousands of years of memory stored in your deoxyribonucleic acid inside your cells. It's not something you can change. This is not going to add value to that. This is just going to add profit to the pocket of the owners of this product. So spiritual systems, they exist for a reason, but they are not detached from politics and economics. I want you to understand that after this live. Don't think spirituality is not the same thing as politics and economics. I explained to you. Politics means polis. Polis means city, the issues of the city. Economics means oikos nemein, which means to manage a household. Economics, household management in terms of resources. Politics, issues of the city. Politics and economics are literally attached to each other. And on top of that, what feeds into that is spirituality, because then you can use spirituality to inspire fear and loyalty to the economic system, to the economic order. To the economic order. Islam, Islamic finance through Sharia law. Judaism, Jewish financial practices through the Torah and the Talmud, Babylonian Talmud. Christianity, majority of the time, most of them are capitalist through Protestantism and Calvinism and white supremacy and Christian nationalism and Nazism and fascism. Some of them are orthodox and communist, but those are their ideas. Wena as umuntu, as munu, as mutu, njengamunvu, njengomntu, what is your system? What is your system that guides your financial practices? What guides the practices of loaning each other in your indigenous system? What are the financial principles that your indigenous system are guided by? What are the principal underlying context? What are the principal fundamental principles that guide your spiritual principles that guide your borrowing and lending practices and payback practices? I'm asking. What is it that guides you? Wena mutu, agree mutu. Hausili Judah, hausili Silams, ungumtu. Yintoni wena? What is your basis? Isisekelo, umgaqo. Your financial practices, why are they not there in the bank? In those banks, there's Islamic finance that caters to Muslims. There's regulatory bodies that cater to halal foods. There's regulatory bodies that cater to kosher foods for Jews. There's regulatory bodies that cater to, vegans and vegetarians and people who are on the keto diet and Banting. Where is your diet? Nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen, but only one thing, it gets commercialized by anyone who wants. It's free for all. And you guys think that's normal? How is that normal? So I just want to say, don't think that spirituality is not the same thing as politics and economics. It's all the same. In fact, education, spirituality, politics, economics, health, all of it is the same thing. You know, when we were at school, we were taught about mathematics and physics and all that. In mathematics, you learn about the likes of Isaac Newton. In physics, Isaac Newton, you know, the father of modern physics. You learn about the Newton's laws. But if you dig a bit deeper and understand what was the driving force behind these guys, you realize these people were fanatics, religious fanatics. Isaac Newton was a religious fanatic. He was taught by a pastor, actually. His lecturer was a pastor. His mentor was a pastor. Isaac Newton wanted eternal life. He was experimenting with all sorts of chemicals and substances. He wanted to find, I just forgot the name for it, so-and-so philosopher's stone or something like that. He literally wanted to live forever. So all these so-called discoveries, he doesn't even care about them. If you read his books, I think it's called Mathematica Principia. This guy is looking for what? Looking for eternal life. That should tell you then, a lot of the physicists, scientists, mathematicians, a lot of them were driven by spirituality into these fields that we know them for today. They were not there to be these smart people who are being worshipped. They were there, they were looking for something based on their spiritual beliefs. It's what powers, economics. It's what powers politics. It's what powers innovation. The people's beliefs about the world. The people's understanding of the cosmos. So your beliefs are dependent on Boxer. Your beliefs are dependent on Leonard Dingler's Ukwai, which is causing cancer to you, by the way. Your beliefs are dependent on those things, and you think you're going to go anywhere in this society. You are literally at the mercy of New Den. So if they stop producing these things, you are spiritually choked. All I'm saying is question your reality. Question what you think is reality. Can you not see that this is a joke? Can you not see that oh no, we're in touch with nature? We're in touch with nature, but this is not nature, Mos. Someone made this. Here's nature. You are running away from it. Sneezewood tree. The indigenous what? The indigenous lamp. The indigenous lamp. Some time ago, I went and did some water activities, and then I realized that people think water activities are for white people. Oh no, you're doing white things. You're doing white things. And then I realized there's a massive need to educate our people about these things. You see this? Just give me a sec. You see this? This is not a white people thing. It's just that majority of the indigenous nations have been so dispossessed and disenfranchised. They are afraid of anything that looks nice and fun. They'd rather be sitting around complaining all day. Let me show you what this is. Something called umkhumbi. It's called umkhumbi in our culture, this thing. This is the ancestor of ships and boats. It's literally called umkhumbi, an ark. It's a log of wood that is dug hollow inside. Why do you dig it hollow? You are reducing what? Weight. And then you're making sure that whatever enters, the weight is distributed along the surface, because the surface is a bit wide. When the weight is distributed along the surface, it reduces its overall heaviness on the water and it floats. This is called umkhumbi. It's a boat. It didn't come with Europeans. But wait, what would we call the equivalent of the sticks, rowing sticks? You see, these sticks, we have them in our culture. We made them with stone, with wood. These are called amagweka or amabheka. Imiphini yokubheka, basically. Imiphini. That's what they are called. Imiphini yokubheka or amabheka. They are used to row or to paddle. They are used to row or to paddle. We had this and we used reeds to make it. It was called ihlenge. We used reeds, literally. We used reeds to make it. See, this is a primitive version, but you can make it bigger and nicer. You can make it bigger and nicer. Guys, how much more must we teach people? How much more? I even made an example in recent weeks about a saying we had that "Utsibe ilitye lika Pungela," you've jumped over Pungela's stone. And the history is that Pungela was an expert swimmer, a diver, who used to help people cross the river. But when the river had flooded, there was a stone that Pungela used as a mark that if the water level crosses this stone, I can't dive. That alone proves that there was a culture of water activities. But beyond that, the amount of knowledge that people have of sea creatures should tell you already that these people must have interacted with the sea at a deep level. But not just sea creatures, also river creatures and all that. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. My main point today is that our culture is a system of economics, of politics, of spirituality. Economics, politics, spirituality at the core. There's sociology there. There's some legislative elements there. All these things you see today, let me put it like that, it already existed. You see lawyers, advocates and all that, those things already existed. Absolutely. Already existed. Now there's a brother here in the comments who say he will never forget finding out that Surf, Omo and Sunlight are European companies. Yeah, of course. Of course. Surf, Omo, Sunlight, Milo. These things are European. Milo, Aromat, these are European companies, man. And that's what I'm saying, like, do you think Europeans were sitting there and like, oh, let's make Aromat for the people in South Africa, we love them so much, we want them to eat tasty food. No, Baba. It's for profit. It's for profit. So the very basis of our existence should be guided by a system, but the gatekeepers, the guardians of that system cannot be anybody else but us. It cannot be anybody else but us. Jews have got Judaism, they've got the Torah, they've got the Talmud, and they've got bodies that regulate all aspects of their lives. They don't just eat anything. Do you understand the importance of being in charge of what you eat? Jews only eat kosher food. Let me show you. If you don't know, they eat kosher food. They will book kosher restaurants. Kosher food is food that adheres to Jewish dietary laws or kashrut. There's meat, there's dairy, there's parev or neutral. Then you go to halal food, right? Halal foods are permissible under Islamic dietary law, which includes all food except those explicitly forbidden. What I'm trying to show you is that where is your food? Where are the laws about your food? Do you even know the laws, the indigenous laws about what food you can eat and what food you can't eat? Or you just eat everything? As long as it looks like it's from Europe, you'll eat it. When I was young, We never used to eat fish at home. In fact, a lot of our cultures were not too big on fish. Some were, but some were not, because they viewed fish in the same group as snakes. In fact, if you look at the name for fish, it's not a name that suggests food. Inhlanzi, from the word ukuhlanza. Hlapi, gotlapa, to wash, both meaning to stay in water, but also to be washed out by the water. Some groups within us never used to eat fish because it was viewed in the same category of biology as snakes. What even guides those categories now? What guides those categories? How did we categorize animals? People don't know because people don't study these things. They will tell you all about Chris Brown and Travis Scott, but they will not tell you about their own basis, how they exist, what is their system of existence altogether. That should be a scary, scary, scary place to be. Tenza. It's like that, my brother. Tenza, kunjalo. You must feel like you're losing your mind, because if you don't feel like you're losing your mind, you've already lost it. Nazog. You see, that's a principle now that guides fishing practices. So, based on those indigenous principles that guide fishing practices, you create bodies that will be based on constitutions that are designed and founded upon the fundamental principles of our people. Same thing for mining. We build a mining industry that is based on our understanding of the land and what gold means and what silver means and what respect we have for those things. Same thing for hunting, We didn't just go hunting and shoot at animals. No, you respect that whole process. Now, most people get sick because of food. It's the food that makes people sick because, the food is sold purely for profit. It's not sold to nourish. It's sold for profit, but that's not how we used to do it. So what I'm saying is, my people, we have to free ourselves from the system. The system we live under is not a system that is meant to elevate us. It's not meant to elevate you. It's a system that is meant to extract and take, extract and take, extract and take. It was a sacred practice. Hunting was sacred. Farming was sacred. It was an absolutely sacred. Everything was, even the process of making clothing, ukuphala izikhumba, it was sacred. Leather making. And there were people who were experts in each and every field. We call them ingcibi. There were people who were experts in surgery. There were people who were experts in mining. There were people, amalala. There were people who were experts in the forging of weapons. There were people who were experts in farming. And they all understood the sacredness of these practices. And until we decide to go back into that, but to go back to that, we have to uhlubula in fullness, imperialist mindset of buying and depending on others. Because if you live in dependence to Tiger Foods, then this is what you're gonna be reduced to. What you need to make your ceremonies, you'll have to go and buy it. But this is your indigenous plant. How is your indigenous plant being sold to you by Tiger Foods? Why is Tiger Foods selling you your indigenous plant? Why is Leonard Dingler selling you ugwai, your traditional snuff? Why do they own the food, the value chain now? Why do they own the value chain? Now, you no longer see people who make this on scale. You no longer see this. These are the true entrepreneurs, true owners of the industry, of making indigenous beverages. But now it's owned by Ijuba. It's owned by Ijuba now. They even say the Uchwala besizulu. Hey, my daughter. Ingcibi, ingcibi kaloku. You see, my grandfather was ingcibi. He did not circumcise anyone. My grandfather used to cut ingciti. The people who cut the finger were called ingcibi. People who were expert divers in the sea were called ingcibi zamanzi. People who used to be experts in touching the roof, abantu abafulelayo, but the ones who are really good ukufulela, they are called ingcibi as well. So ingcibi is basically someone who's really good, who has expertise in their field. Think about the word ukungciba, to do something with expertise. Yabo. Ukungciba, to do something with expertise. Like if you are fixing things with your hands and you become an expert mason or artisan or craftsman can be called ingcibi in essence. But yeah, even nalena yasehlathini entabeni is called ingcibi. And that's how the word has survived to this day. But generally, back in the day, divers and swimmers were called ingcibi zamanzi. There was even a saying, ethi ingcibi yamanzi ifanga amanzi. Uyabona? But obviously, those practices have died now. Like, we no longer build amabhoma or amaphembe or amathonto the same way. Thank you, Lukanyo. Thank you, Nala. Thank you, Hlobi. Gelenge. We no longer build amathonto or amaphembe the same way we used to. So you find that the only context in which we use the word ingcibi now is the context of entabeni. And that's the thing with the death of culture. When the context of using language is no longer there, the words become obsolete and archaic. Give you another example. The word ingcali. Most people know the word ingcali as meaning an expert, but ingcali in literal sense is someone who's good at aiming during a hunt. Ingcali is someone who's good with the bow. But because we no longer do that, we don't have a context of what the nuance of the word is. Same thing with indima. You know, a few weeks back, I made a video about indima. It upset a lot of people. But it's funny because they never got the point of the video. White people normally speak like, play your part. We can't say play your part in our languages because we don't have the word part. We use indima, but indima is a piece of land that has been plowed. You can't say dlala indima because in what context do you dlala indima? Because indima is umhlaba. You can't dlala umhlaba. You work umhlaba. So the most appropriate way to use the word is enza eyakho indima, or feza eyakho indima, or gqiba eyakho indima, etc., etc. Because that indima is a piece of work. You don't play it, you do it. Another example, someone was saying, no, indima means a role. And then another, no, role, inqaxheba. I'm like, no, inqaxheba is not a role, actually. Inqaxheba is a piece of meat that is taken from a cow. So during a hunt, when specific animals were hunted and, killed, if it's an eland, impofu, inqaxheba yenkosi, sisifuba. That is to say, the king's claim, the right of the king, the entitlement of the king, is the chest of the eland. Why? Because that is the most sacred place in the eland, one. It's also the fattest place in the eland, two. So, inqaxheba is in essence a piece of meat, but not just a piece of meat that someone is entitled to. So you could use the word inqaxheba to say then your role is to do this. Inqaxheba yakho, but you can't say dlala inqaxheba. You can say fulfill inqaxheba. So all I'm saying is that words that are used today most people don't have the context of how they came to be used because those cultural practices have almost died out. That's why indima, which means land, most people will never know that because they don't actually work the land. Most people need the white man to pay them every month. They've been so disconnected from the land. It's such a shame. It's a shame. They don't work the land, and therefore when you tell them that no, indima is actually land, kitima, or indima in Chikalang, it comes from the word lima. Lima means to plow, not to plant. Plant is uchala. So indima comes from the word lima, which means to plow the land. Therefore, indima, umhlaba that has been plowed. Just like indebe comes from umlebe, the one thing that you put in your lips. Indebe. Hey, so my people, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna continue with this. I don't think we had enough time today. I want us to understand that our spiritual basis, our spiritual systems, our beliefs, regardless of whether you believe that people should drink or not, whether you believe people should smoke or not, that's out of the question. Whatever the people believe is important for their culture to thrive. Whatever the people believe is important for their well-being. Umqombothi, utywala besintu, and all these different things. People must own that system. That's what I'm saying. Because spiritual systems, beliefs are literally things that feed into the economic system, which maintains the political system. So if your spiritual system is dependent on things that you don't have control over, then you're funding someone else's economy, which is funding someone else's politics. So your spiritual system is literally rendering you a proxy to the same system that disenfranchised and dispossessed you. So by literally practicing your spirituality, which you somehow probably believe that you depend on, you're funding the system that will continue enslaving you indirectly. And it's such a perfect paradox. It's like a catch-22 situation because you're not going to stop practicing your spirituality. That means that you're not going to stop being a slave until you stop depending on someone else for your spirituality. So the spiritual system of a people has the potential to either enslave them or free them. And I want you to think about that. Now, to mine in our culture is ukumba or ukwemba. To mine, ukwemba. That's why we have people known as abambo. People who were in regions that were known for mining. Blacksmiths, goldsmiths, ironsmiths, and abantu known as amalala because they were known as people who work with weapons and metals. Balola insimbi. Think about barolo, for example. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna post this on YouTube as of tomorrow morning, and tomorrow I'm gonna go live again. We're gonna talk about this. I think it's extremely, extremely, extremely important. I'm gonna continue. Maybe I'm gonna make 2 to 3 more lives about it. I'm gonna go maybe categorically, but I need people to see the economics and political parts of their beliefs. When you do a ceremony, when you do a traditional ceremony, you are funding someone there because you need to go and get umqombothi. You need chickens. If you don't have them at home,
this is Sunny Luam.
if you don't have your chickens at home, you're gonna buy them from someone. This is my YouTube channel. There's about 143 videos. I've been posting some. There's a video I did on Ambo. 2 parts. The first part is almost 5 hours. The second part is 3 hours. So it's an 8-hour series on Ambo. There's everything here. Everything you can think of. So please go there, subscribe. I will upload this video tomorrow there. We're going to continue doing this live on our spiritual systems in connection to to economics and politics, and how that's relevant to us and how we can take back and own our fate. Thank you guys. I'm gonna see you all tomorrow. Peace. And remember, there's a program I'm currently doing. Those wanna join, please inbox me.